All right, we're going to continue with our media availabilities here at Daytona International Speedway in advance of tomorrow's Daytona 500 qualifying and advanced auto parts clash. We are joined by Aric Almirola, driver of the number 10 Smithfield Ford, who is a Tampa native and who was the winner of the last Super Speedway race at Talladega in the fall. We will open up to questions for Aric. Please raise your hand and we will get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start here with Greg in the front.
Hey, Aric.
Hey.
Greg Engel, Auto Week.
Happy New Year, Greg.
You too, sir. I hope you had a great off season.
I did.
All 4 minutes of it. Speaking of that, you went to a hockey game. I want to hear about that, and also the confidence of winning at Talladega, coming back here to Daytona, because you've won here before, but now you've got the most recent motivation from Talladega.
So I'll start with one. The Tampa Bay Lightning hockey game. That was incredible. I grew up in Tampa. I'm a big Tampa Bay area sports fan. And so being able to go to the Lightning game and watch the morning skate and hang out with those guys, and my family and I getting to hang out with Braden Coburn and spending some time with him, that was a lot of fun. And then the game itself, they do such a phenomenal job with putting on a show. It really is. It's an incredible show. I think while we were there, they said it was like the 170th consecutive sellout of the Lightning games. So that was really, really impressive. I enjoyed my time. My kids loved it. They got to meet Thunderbug, the mascot. They were pretty pumped about that. So we had a really good time, and it's always nice to get back to Tampa. I miss home. Charlotte's kind of home now, but Tampa's really home for me. So it's nice to get back. Yeah, so coming off of winning the last restrictor plate race certainly gives our team a lot of confidence. These are the same rules that we had at Talladega with this car. So the new kind of unknown is the Mustang. But so far with a few laps of practice, I feel like we're kind of picking right up where we left off. I feel like we got a lot of speed. Our cars are fast. They drive good. So I feel like we have a lot of confidence coming into this race, and there's a lot of luck involved too. You can do everything right. You can have a fast car. You can put yourself in what you think is the right position and get caught up in a wreck. So you've got to have things go your way, and it's tough to win the Daytona 500. There's a lot of great race car drivers that have never won that race. So that's definitely something that we're looking forward to having the opportunity to do come next Sunday.
We'll stay up front here and go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Auto Week. Last year, in the moment, you seemed to really handle the 500 defeat really well.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a moment where you were like truly mad, and how did you compartmentalize everything to get to
so
that
did
point?
I ever have a moment where, like, behind closed doors, I stomped my feet and hit some things? Maybe. But in that time, in that moment, it was more important for me to go out and be a good representation for my sponsors and my partners, and my kids. My kids were sitting back in my motorhome, watching on TV like the rest of the world. So at that time, it was an opportunity for me to be, a good role model for my kids, and you've got to be a good sport, and sometimes things don't always go your way, and you've got two choices. You can either keep your head high and take the high road, or you can pout and piss and moan, and the sponsors usually like the first one.
We'll go up front to Holly.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Aric. NASCAR Wire Service. I wanted to ask you what you just mentioned with the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
To have come that close, really, though, that was your first race with the team, and it really, in some ways, maybe set the tone for the season. I mean, the high expectations began immediately for
Absolutely. I think one thing, that we took away from the Daytona 500 is we instantly, in the very first race, all had confidence in each other. New driver coming to new driver to the team, new crew chief, Johnny Klossmeyer, leading that team, several new guys on the team. We're all really young. I would say the average age of everybody on our team is probably about 32. So we're all really young, and that makes it fun, but there's also a lot of, growing to do and newness. And so instantly in that very first race, it was like, hey, we can do this. Like, this is only race one, and they're going to have to deal with us for the rest of the year. This is only the beginning. And we kind of fed off that, and we used that, as a motivator, and that kept us, kept our heads down and made us just fight even harder and grind. And I really think that it pulled us together. Man, if we would have went out in our first race and won, it would have just been too easy. So I would have taken it. But I don't think we would have grown together as a team as much as we did given those circumstances.
I'm going to come over here to the far right to Hill.
Hi, Aric. Hill
Hey, Hill.
Overton, WINDB Radio. Hope
Why are you asking a question? I have to talk to you later.
You're coming in later, but I got one here for everybody.
Okay.
You had that near miss in winning the 500 here last year with a new Mustang, and what you felt from the car so far. How confident are you going into next Sunday?
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit already, but I'm really confident. I think if you look back at my career and my stats, the Speedway races really kind of stand out. Those have been places where there have been opportunity for me to capitalize. I've run really well at Speedway races. I've found a way to make it to the end of most of them, knock on wood, and just been able to put myself in position. And, I think with these race cars that we have at Stewart-Haas Racing and the Mustang, and with what Ford Performance has done with putting, a lot of energy, a lot of resources, and a lot of, manpower into making sure that the Mustang hits the racetrack with a lot of success, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think, you could give our race team any sort of box to work in, and they're going to figure out how to make the race cars go fast. We just have a lot of really talented, smart people at Stewart-Haas Racing and at Ford Performance with their engineering program. So I'm looking forward to the Daytona 500, but I'm really looking forward to just 2019 in general. Obviously last year was a little bit bitter, leaving Daytona, going to the airport, knowing that we were a mile away from winning the biggest race of the year. But, there was 37 other races the rest of the year that we had opportunities to go win. And we were able to do that. We were able to put ourselves in position to win about 6 of them, and we only got 1. So that's kind of our focus going into this year, is to really capitalize on those opportunities. If we're dealt, 6, 7, 8 races this year with opportunities to win, we need to seal the deal, and we need to go to victory lane in those races.
I'm going to go over here to the left. There's a microphone right there for you.
How you doing, Aric?
Good.
Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. We just heard a little bit of analysis earlier, and you kind of touched on it in your last question. The gentleman was saying that the key, it comes down to basically managing the headwinds when you're going into your last few laps to win Daytona 500. But we know that the weather is sometimes kind of unpredictable. How do you guys kind of factor that in, especially between practices and then the big day?
Yeah, so the weather, especially here in Florida, that's the one thing you can count on, is if you don't like the weather, just wait 30 minutes. It'll change. It's constantly changing. It's constantly a moving target, but it is important. It does play a factor. And so that really, lays in the hands of my spotter and my crew chief communicating with me where the wind's coming out of, how hard it's gusting. And then there are some things that as a driver you can do to manipulate your car around the racetrack to try and minimize the headwinds and try and put yourself in position, and really knowing and understanding, the draft and where the wind's coming out of, and how to position yourself around other race cars. So there is some tactic that goes into it, but really in those last couple laps, if you're in that situation to win the Daytona 500, the wind is really the last thing on your mind. You're really just looking at all the other race cars on the racetrack that you're competing against, trying to position yourself in the best case scenario. If you're leading, trying to block the lanes and making sure that you keep your momentum up and that they don't get runs to either your inside or outside. And then if you're behind, making sure that you get the help you need from the cars behind to be able to give you a run to push to pass the leader.
We'll go to Jerry and then Zach.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. Coming into this season, obviously off of a fifth rank last year, how much swagger do you have in your step, knowing that you were one of the top guys over there at SHR, and one of the top guys, as you said, surprised considering from the beginning of the season where you came out at the end?
Not that much swagger, to be honest. My kids keep me pretty humble. My son, I told him I was excited about getting ready to go to Daytona Thursday night before we flew down here Friday morning. And he said, yeah, he said, Daddy, I sure hope you win more than just one race next year. So, yeah, my kids do a good job of keeping me in check. So yeah, I have full faith in my race team, and I have confidence in my ability. But and I told you guys last year, and it's no disrespect to anything that you guys do, but I don't read the stuff that you guys put out there. I don't listen to the stuff that you guys put out there because when things are going good, you can easily make my ego a lot bigger than it needs to be. And when things are going bad, you guys can tear me down even more than I need to be torn down. So, I try and do a good job of staying level-headed, and in the good times, just enjoy it, and in the bad times, just keep fighting. No, the off season's time to relax. So, yeah, I kind of take the attitude of plugging my ears and just staying in the moment, and really just I focus more on what the guys on my team think of me, and I want to be a good leader for my team. I kind of want to be quote unquote the captain, and lead by example and put in the work and put in the effort. Last night, for example, I was here in the garage helping them push the car around for tech. Like, that's important to me to build that chemistry and that bond with my team. And what anybody else thinks, I just really don't care.
We'll go to Zach.
Zach at Tanswetti, kickingthetires.net. How you doing, Aric?
Good.
I saw that you had a word with Daniel Suarez and Kevin Harvick before that last practice. Obviously, early days in this season, but how do you think Daniel is really gelling with the team? And you mentioned taking a leadership role.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself really giving him advice throughout this season?
Yeah, if he asks, sure. I think that's something, I'm excited about Daniel's enthusiasm and coming in, and he does ask a lot of questions, which is great. He wants to be a part of the team. He's already, shown and proven that he wants to be a team player and do whatever it takes. But obviously he's got a job to do, and he wants to go win for his team and his sponsors. So, we had a conversation earlier today, and it was just really about managing expectations. I think he's obviously got the talent. He won an Xfinity championship. You don't do that by accident. So he has the talent. He's a great race car driver, and then just coming to our organization is really just about managing the expectations and making sure that he doesn't put too much pressure on himself and try too hard and put himself in positions that could compromise him having a good day. And that was really what Kevin was talking about. And I was doing more listening. I was talking as well, but we're just kind of listening to Kevin and talking about, really how to go about, the beginning part of the season here with the new rules and the new car and everything, and making sure that as a team we all do what we need to do to build a notebook with this new rules package, and just managing expectations.
We'll wrap up with Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports.
Yeah.
Aric, with the new policy of the disqualification after a race, obviously if there was a penalty in the past, it'd be easy for the driver to say, I'm the driver. That's more of a team responsibility. But obviously with this disqualification, it could potentially it affect the driver's record. That win gets wiped off the record book.
Yeah.
Because it's maybe even more outreaching to a driver, from a driver's perspective, is that a conversation you have more with the crew or the crew chief, with Johnny, wanting to know more, or just wanting, as you say, kind of a captain or leader of the team, kind of having a little bit more, be involved in the discussion about topics like that? Or is that still, I'm still the driver, you guys do whatever, and I drive the car?
Yeah, so from my standpoint, as far as trying to be a leader and the captain of the team, it's really about attitude and my work ethic and what I do, and the way that I go about interacting with my team. From the technical side, I don't think they want me to give input or to know much about the race car. You know, I've always been the kind to go about just getting in the race car and giving them feedback. I don't get in the weeds in the details of the race car. That's not my expertise. Those guys spend 70, 80 hours a week preparing race cars each and every week for the next race, and they're building race cars 3 and 4 weeks out in advance at the shop. So for me, I'm not there. I'm during the week I'm gone doing sponsor appearances and media obligations and things, and so I'm not at the shop all the time, and I'm not in the know. And quite frankly, I don't need to be. You know, my job is to show up, drive the race car, and give them feedback on whether it's tight or loose or fast or slow. And they don't. The engineers and all the smart people are the ones that figure out how to make the most out of the rules that we're given. But the one thing that I will say is that I appreciate, and we've already seen it yesterday in technical inspection. I appreciate and applaud NASCAR for making it more black and white and less gray. I think that's the one thing that as a competitor, you just want it to be fair. You know, you don't want to think like, well, we pushed in this area and we got away with it. How much did the other teams get away with? Did they push in that area or did they not? Or did they push in another area and get away with it? And if it's black and white, then it's really simple. And you know that the competition that you're up against on the racetrack is under the same rules and is being governed and scrutinized the same way that you are. And as a competitor, that's really all you can ask for. But if I finish second, I will hang out in my motorhome for a couple hours just in case I get to go to Victory Lane and take pictures in Victory Lane with the trophy.
All right, Aric, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.